Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. It's Monday, March 24th, 2025, and these are your Unbiased Updates. Pushing ahead with peace talks, the initial goal to get Russia and Ukraine to agree to a truce. For how long, and the key role of the United States. Also, a trip to Greenland on the agenda. The wife of Vice President JD Vance, as well as the National Security Advisor, are headed to the world's largest island, amid President Trump's suggestions that the United States take control of it. When and what's their purpose?
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
This morning, U.S. and Russian officials are meeting in Saudi Arabia to discuss a possible peace deal in Ukraine. It comes less than 24 hours after the U.S. held separate talks about ending the war with Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia's capital city yesterday. While no specific details about that talk were given, Ukraine's defense minister said in a social media post, quote, "The discussion was productive and focused," end quote, and said they addressed key points, including energy. The New York Times is reporting an anonymous Ukrainian official says the Ukrainian delegation might hold additional discussions with U.S. officials today, depending on progress. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says the ultimate goal of the talks is a 30-day full ceasefire that would allow time for negotiations on a permanent truce. Russia and Ukraine have both already agreed to halt strikes on energy infrastructure temporarily. But how and when to implement that partial truce have not yet been decided, and attacks continue. Ukrainian officials say Russia launched 99 attack drones overnight, and a drone attack in Kyiv over the weekend killed 3 people, including a 5-year-old child. Meantime, Ukraine is also launching drones at Russia, with the Russian military saying 28 were intercepted overnight. Ukraine also says it has destroyed 4 military helicopters in Russia. The Trump administration is moving to revoke temporary legal status for more than 530,000 people who are in the United States under Biden-era temporary parole programs. According to a notice posted by the federal government, the termination of their work permits and deportation protections will take effect in late April, 30 days after the move is made official, which is expected to happen tomorrow. The move will impact immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela who came to the United States under a Biden administration program known as CHNV, which was designed to reduce illegal immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border by giving would-be migrants legal migration avenues. These migrants are being urged to self-deport or face arrest and removal by deportation agents. Usha Vance, the wife of Vice President JD Vance, along with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, are slated to go to Greenland later this week. Her office says the Second Lady will visit historic sites and learn about its heritage. President Trump has often said the United States should take control of the self-governing territory that is part of Denmark for strategic national security purposes. Both the Denmark government and many people in Greenland have said the island is not for sale. However, on Sunday, Vice President Vance said, quote, "Denmark is not doing its job," end quote, and not being a good ally. Vance says President Trump does not care what Europe thinks. He cares about putting the interests of Americans first. Her office says Mrs. Vance is slated to leave on Thursday and return to the United States on Saturday. Greenland's prime minister spoke out in a national newspaper over the planned visit on Sunday, calling it, quote, "a highly aggressive move," and said Waltz's mere presence in Greenland will no doubt fuel American belief in Trump's mission. Monday, April 28th, that's the date for Canadian elections. New Prime Minister Mark Carney and his opponent kicked off their respective campaigns by saying that President Donald Trump must respect Canada. That message is likely to strike a popular chord with the voters, as President Trump has already issued tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel and promises a big announcement on April 2nd when it comes to additional tariffs. The president has also made repeated remarks that Canada should be the United States' 51st state, prompting various shows of Canadian patriotism. Carney said, quote, "They want our resources, they want our water, they want our land, they want our country. Never," at a rally in Newfoundland. Carney replaced Justin Trudeau, who recently resigned. He is opposed by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who says he will be Canada first and stand up to Trump. The election campaign is also for 343 seats in the House of Commons. South Korea's constitutional court overturned the impeachment of Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, reinstating him as the country's acting president today. The opposition Democratic Party impeached Han in December after he reportedly refused to appoint 3 justices to the Constitutional Court that was looking into the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol after Yoon had briefly imposed martial law. The court has not given its verdict on Yoon's impeachment. They have until mid-June to do so. Finally this morning, the first weekend of the men's 2025 NCAA tournament is in the books, and the Sweet 16 is set. There are no Cinderella stories, so to speak, but the Arkansas win over St. John's was great television over the weekend. Calipari versus Pitino. For the first time in history, the Final 16 in basketball will be completely made up of teams from football-playing power conferences, including a record 7 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, 4 from the Big 12, and 1 from the ACC. That's the fewest conferences ever represented in a Sweet 16, according to Sports Illustrated. The first of the Sweet 16 games tip off this Thursday with Brigham Young versus Alabama. Top seeds Florida and Duke will take on Maryland and Arizona respectively. And Arkansas will go head-to-head with Texas Tech. The women's Sweet 16 lineup will be set after tonight's second-round game. There were some great games over the weekend. Duke looked really, really powerful, and you can't discount Florida. They're also a top seed, and they knocked off the 2-time champs UConn. Those are your unbiased updates for this Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.